Good morning to you, Internet, and welcome to a little show I like to call Trial by Error, Learning Through Failure with Uber-Noob ShadoKat. I, of course, am ShadoKat, and I'm here today with a little update on the status of my Samus Aran sculpting slash armor costume project thing. And I'm kind of excited today because I haven't really had any time to work on this since like before Thanksgiving, due in part to just life in general, but also because I am somewhat of a perfectionist, but I don't have any talent or skill, which is a bit of a paradox, I know. I do, however, have no small measure of persistence, and rather than practicing to increase my skill level, I come up with weird little ideas and methods to compensate for what I lack in talent and skill. One of those methods, in fact, I am presenting to you today. So as I was working on the shoulder bell, I became concerned that these grooves right here had strayed from how they should be, and since I'm basically going to be sculpting this thing once and making two casts of it, it has to be as perfect and symmetrical as possible, otherwise it's going to look funny, which is probably going to look funny anyway, but I want it to look as not funny as possible. So I came up with this thing. It's a curvature template. My first iteration of this template was made of cardboard, which was kind of flimsy and didn't really work very well. This one is made out of 1/4 inch black acrylic that my wife graciously had cut for me. She works for a sign company and they deal with these little materials all the time, and sometimes she gets special favors. Anyway, let me show you this. If you can see, these here. The template actually has the grooves built into it. Yeah. And the idea is that I rotate the template along the sculpture, making sure it's secured around a pivot point, which is right there. You see a little pivot point. And this is 90 degrees from the center. And it's also the same on the other side. And it's like the widest part of the roundness. So when you rotate along there, and you can sculpt around it, and it gives a nice round, smooth shape, which is what I'm going for here. So let me demonstrate this for you. I already done the front. So like I said, it secures around the pivot point, and you basically just take it and drag it along there to get the curvature, and it conforms to the shape of the template. And you gotta kind of be careful, because if you pull it too hard, then what's going to happen is the pivot point is going to pull up on the sculpt here, and it's just going to throw the whole thing out of whack and off center. So, like I said, I've already done the front, and you can see it did cut the grooves in nicely, and I actually did the grooves freehand before, and they came out pretty well, according to the template and how I've got it secured. So now I'm going to be doing the other side, the back end, and first things first, hair tie. I have long hair, which gets in my way while I'm doing this kind of stuff. So I'm just going to demonstrate how this works on the other side here, moving bits of clay as I go. Alrighty then. So it's secured around the pivot, and you pull it down gently, because like I said, you don't want to screw it up. And it's cutting through the clay like it's supposed to be. I don't know if you can see as I'm doing this, the clay is coming up on the template there. Very, very nice. I like it very much. Oh, here we go. Not bad, not bad. Work it slowly. Pull it back. And like I said, very, very gently. And when it gets to a point where it's just working too hard and too much force is being exerted, so I'm going to take my wire cutter here and sort of help it along. Okay, at this point I'm going to stop talking and I'm just going to work this thing. Okay, sorry, I know I said I'd stop talking, but I wanted to give a quick note about the resistance affecting the pivot point. Now, the template works on the curvature of the sculpt in much the same way that a compass works, a drawing compass works to draw circles, and it makes more sense to think about it like that. Now, I said before, if the pivot shifts, the curvature will be slightly off and messed up. Now, to get an idea of what I'm talking about, get a compass and use it to draw a circle. Now, instead of putting the pointy end on the paper, put it in a bottle cap and try drawing the circle again. Now, as you exert force on the compass while you're drawing the circle, the bottle cap will move and shift around the paper while you're trying to draw, and the pointer, which is the center of the circle, will just continually move along with that bottle cap, and the circle will not be circular. And it's the same basic idea here. Now, I had a couple ideas to cut down on the resistance, so I wouldn't have needed to use as much force and possibly shift the pivot point while I rotate the template around the sculpt. Now, first I could have used a heat gun to soften the clay, except that I don't have a heat gun. So, I could alternatively have used petroleum jelly, like Vaseline, to lubricate the clay and cut down on the friction, making the template slide over the sculpt more easily. I probably also could have used mineral spirits, which has the advantage of both lubricating the clay like the Vaseline and melting it a bit like the heat gun. Problem with Vaseline and mineral spirits both, though, is that when introduced in the clay, change its composition slightly. Mineral spirits in particular, I've found, after it dries, makes the surface of the clay kind of slippery, which makes it harder for the fresh clay to stick to it when you need to add more. That's just my experience, and I may not have been using it right, but, you know. Okay, sorry, back to the video. Well, anyway, that is my demonstration of templating on round shapes, and you can sort of see its deficiencies. Like right here, kind of gouged out, and I did like the way it was. But that's okay. We can work with it. Okay, so now I'm going to take off the template, see how much my center line is shifted. Nice 2.5-inch nail there. I finally got the template off of the sculpt. You can see it here, and you can probably see better now that how the grooves are slotted in there, and the grooves just slide across where the grooves should be in the template, and it cuts them out the way they should be. And since it goes along that roundness, it makes it even and correct. But what I wanted to show you, now that I got the template off, and it kind of screwed up the other side a lot, so I'm not going to show you the other side, but it'll be easy to fix. But I want to show you just how not far off the pivot point got. See that? Just a little tiny hole. It got only slightly bigger than the nail around which it was pivoting. So, not a lot of play there. So that makes me happy. So that should be a nice, smooth roundness. And just wanted to show you that. For my next trick, I will be melting a bunch of clay and just pouring it all along the top, and then running the template down it to fill in the places where it's low, fill in the low spots. I'll probably have to redo some of this detail that I got inside the internal band, but that's not going to be too much of an issue, I don't think. Hopefully when I'm done with that, I'll be able to just start smoothing. But all in all, I think it turned out, not turned out, but the method and the process seems to work pretty well with pretty decent results. I'm going to go now and edit the video so that it'll get rid of a lot of me babbling through while I was actually doing it, and I'm going to take a cue from Road Warrior and do some time-lapsing. So, thank you very much, and I hope you've enjoyed, hope you found it informative. If not, well, I'm okay with that too. So, have a good day.